put up a nice little banner here. Oh, there's Stormy. Hi, honey.
Hi, Stormy.
Hey.
I gotta make a banner.
Yeah. Chocolate, whatever's chocolate. I'll take it.
Okay. All right. Well, for you folks out there in TV land, welcome tonight. This is Marty Mangello to the United States Presidential Service Center and Awards. And we're going to get started here. So thank you so much for joining us. And I think
Yes.
like this, and you can film me.
Yep.
We've got all of our friends here, as you can see. And we're getting dessert. Oh, film this dessert before she touches it. Carla, what did you get?
That's the raspberry cheese.
Oh my gosh! Wow. Whoa. Okay. So thank you so much. The first awardee tonight for the ceremony is actually going to be Mr. Orlando Herrera. Orlando, are you ready? Orlando, please come up here, sir. We are going to be Orlando Herrera Jr. Thank you so much. For those of you that don't know, Orlando was blown about 86 feet through the air, upside down in Beirut during the bombing. He was very thankful that day that he was not in the building and landed upside down, broke fences, and enjoyed that whole thing, of course, as a Marine. And he was a United States Marine. We're happy, actually, tonight to do two different medals for Orlando. The first one is the Ronald Reagan Medal. And Orlando, this has been a long time coming. I know originally it was supposed to be July 27th. We announced this to everybody, but we wanted to wait to actually catch up to you. So, Fran. And Dr. Rodriguez, if you would do the next one, please. This next one is going to be the Cold War Victory Medal. This is an official medal. It is allowed to be worn on uniform, but only if you're in the correct state. So right now we have 3 states in the United States that allow this to be worn, and it's generally by the Guard, the National Guard. So Louisiana, if you're from Louisiana, you're lucky. Alaska, Texas. So let me get this going here for you, Don. You don't have to. It's okay if you hear Sim.
Plenty of time.
I'm just trying to save your fingers, though. So I'll mention a little bit about our battle with the Cold War while this has been going on, the Cold War Medal. This has gone up for legislation year after year after year. I think 15 years now. Generally, the proponents for legislation in the National Defense Authorization Act, generally, for some reason, I haven't figured this out yet, but they come from Maine. They always advance the bill, the Cold War Medal. I'd like to turn it over to Orlando for a short speech.
I'm going to keep it short. You know, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank Marty Mangello for the award, and also thank my best friend Antoine Thomas. Yeah. For all the things he's done for me throughout the years. You know, even at one point saving my life. And of course, my beautiful fiance is always, you know, keeping me going. So, but I am very thankful. But I am very thankful for this, you know, these awards, and you know, and on behalf of the Marine Corps and American veterans, thank you. Thank you.
question was, when is the wedding? So, very interesting, very interesting. The next award is going to be for Mr. Antoine Thomas. And Orlando, I have a quote. And Dr. Rodriguez, if you would want to stand. This one's a lot easier, sir. And the Antoine also was announced on July 27th to be getting this particular medal, the American Defense Service Commemorative Medal. Antoine Rodriguez. So Antoine is an honorable Navy veteran and served. Go Navy! Go Navy! Lived in Yokosuka, Japan for quite a while, but that was not his only flagship, the Blue Ridge. He was also on carriers. And yeah, thank you, Antoine. And a short speech, sir.
Sure. Okay. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for coming. This is actually a bittersweet moment. Me and Marty, we met over a decade ago online, and he brought me on. He said, I need a marshal here in DC to actually try to get us into DC so we can stand our project. This is the first time that we're actually officially meeting everyone, so it's actually been fun. So I'm just honored to be in this position, actually effectuate change and help advocate for our veterans and actually bring our family, extend our family. I feel that we're all within the family. I'm very grateful. I'd like to say again, Marty, thank you for the opportunity to do this. I'm extremely grateful. Orlando, staying to you, save your life, save mine. You're the brother I never had. I'm glad you're a friend. I was going to, yes, the Godfather's not here, so I'll wait for him to return. Matt, I know we've had this conversation, but I'm extremely grateful to have in my life. Because, our friendship is very important to me. And thank you for being here. It was a lot to me. And the Godfather just came in, so I'm very appreciative of everything that Jack Creation has done for me, and having him in my life is a blessing in many ways. I finally made it again to DC to show his support for everything that I've done and that I will continue to do. So thank you, everyone. This has been an honor, a pleasure, and let's get this building here in DC so that we can have a greater space to celebrate our veterans in the fashion.
The next award is actually going to be Mr. Jack Crashton. Creation, like Crayfish.
Translated into Romanian.
My
My last name is Christmas. I'm Jackie Christmas III. I'm looking for something that has my time phone because I have no idea how I'm alive standing.
Well, Jack, you have graduated. You get a diploma. And this award, we actually got sick and tired of seeing the 40 under 40 rammed down our throat, and then the 30 under 30, and the 20 under 20 awards. And at some point, Orlando and I were like, when are we going to start celebrating our elders? Like, you hit 40 and you're done. You don't get to win anything. So we're the only ones that we know of, Jack, that are doing the 7 in their 70s, the 8 over 80, and the 9 at 90 plus. Jack, actually, thanks to Dr. Rodriguez, was the first, but you just did the second in Orlando, Florida.
Wow.
So, Jack, congratulations. Absolutely.
God bless you.
And please,
What is this? It's the most special time in my life. I'll explain why. My life has been never-ending givings, developing a globe of humanity that has expendable income ratios to buy American property. Today, I entered Washington, D.C. 25th time. And it's after, yeah, we stopped counting. After after 20 years of living in China, building the new number 2 economy, and 11 years living in Europe, taking FM radio to its limits to break monopolies in government that really aren't taking care of their people. That's interesting. Okay. So I'm a godfather of FM radio, the first commercially successful FM radio station on earth in Cleveland, Ohio, which is now known as the rock and roll capital of the world. So I want to share something with the viewing audience. And I want to share something with everyone in this room that I've learned over 50 years of global pioneering to deliver the American dream, the greatest nation on earth. Today, it has never been greater. Because what we suffer within, if it doesn't kill us, and what we're suffering within this last 2 years hasn't killed us, it's not going to kill us. So we're going to become a lot stronger as a nation globally. America's about taking the people and ethnic values of the communities that came here for freedom, expression, religious freedoms, A to Z, to die for. And today, we are reaching new horizons around the world. And I have lived around the world as an American. And I want to share thoughts with you that define our country over the last century and a half. We have established 4 number 2 economies on earth. 4. And all 4 of those economies have one thing in common. They were the worst enemies our nation ever had, and in some cases, the worst enemy the world has ever had. The first number 2 economy was England. Remember the 1812 War of 1812. Remember that. Remember 1776 when they tried to kill us in our bassinet with a baseball bat. Remember Germany in the First World War and the Second World War. We made them the second number 2 economy. We also made them the number 1 economy in Europe, and we carry England and we carry Germany to this day, our greatest allies. But hold on a minute. My dads and uncles, I'm 75. So I'm the child of warriors known as the greatest generation on earth who produced $165 billion in the year I was born to rebuild Europe. Very few countries pay us back. We didn't need them to pay us back because America is benevolent and we don't forgive insults to our integrities and our independence and our fight for freedom. We forget it and embrace our enemies and convert them to delivering education, freedom, hospitals, roads, and we fill homes in foreign countries with bathrooms, refrigerators. If there's no America, there is no wealth to be shared in the world. Here. I'm not done. The number 3, number 2 economy on earth was the nation that read Lincoln. A nation divided will fall. A nation divided will fail. We will attack them on the West Coast. We will nail Pearl Harbor, and we're Japan, and we will take out the United States and Germany, and we will wipe out freedom. Our wives, my grandparents, my grandmother looked at their husbands and said, "You're going to the army. I'm going to the factory." These women were known as Rosie the Ribbon. The most powerful women on the face of the earth ran the nation while their men cured the world of the illness of ignorance and tyranny, something like we're dealing with now, and we will defeat it again. Now, I'm an independent guy. I grew up on 65th Street in Cleveland, Ohio, and I helped make it the rock and roll capital of the world. Because the world is about Americans doing the impossible. If it's not rock and roll, it's not worth doing. And when you rock and roll, you can lose your life, and you have to make sacrifices. And that's what this great nation has always done, and what its people have always done, and what you guys have to do in the next 30, 40 years, your opportunity to build into the world. Okay. The last number 2 economy I was a part of building. It's the People's Republic of China. Now, I want you to hear this, because I moved there in 1985 and I left in 2005. And I'm still dealing with cross-cultural exchange, because cross-cultural exchange is the greatest, the absolute #1 deliverer of prosperity that there is on earth and has ever been on earth. Until we embrace each other, until we learn each other and love each other and our cultures, and we give ourselves the benefit of the doubt when we err, and we deliver a gospel thinking about how to love your enemies, we never fail to succeed. China is probably, to this day, one of the poorest nations in the world. It's not what you think and read in the newspapers that have lost touch with delivering the truth to the Americans. The fact of the matter is there's 750 million people there that need us to continue to build that nation. And oh, by the way, Marty, take this. Oh, by the way, thank you, China Daily. Propaganda. You understand what happens here? In the People's Republic of China, they have lived off of $240 billion a year for 38 years, 39 years. So with that kind of money, guess what you do? You become a #2 economy. And you invest that money in educating your people. And China has actually done that. No communist party in China. There's 240 million dead children. Why? Because they had no food. They had 100 years of famine, 100 years of misery. I'm saying that's 200. 100 years of humiliation, 100 years of famine. And we brought them to us. Now, here's what's happening. Their students are going to schools all over the world. They're becoming American. Now they know what freedom is. They don't get ready for this. They're no longer starving. Well, we can't get the schools built. We can't get the roads built. We can't get to really turn around a nation of 1.2 billion people. But we have a blessing I can thank God for. China, there's a country here, about 2,000-mile border with China. So how does God work? Tyranny, personification of tyranny. The world's largest democracy is India. The two populations in this country exceed 2.6 billion people. Those are the markets of the future. That's where you will deliver the American dream, and you will realize how the American dream shared with the world enriches America. We are the most powerful nation on earth today. We are the kindest nation on earth at home and in the world today. And this will go on and on if we are vigilant. I got an award I deserve. Vietnam, the war, you name it. But this means more to me than anything in the world, because it now takes me, and I'm not done working. And Antoine, you know it. And Scott Huckstein over there, the chairman and CEO of World Chocolate Inc., who's going to set a global example on American corporations delivering products and services to nations. Now, keep in mind, I think everybody knows. Let me give you the lowdown. 2/3 of the world's population, 2/3 of the countries in the world, until 20 years ago, had no economic strength whatsoever. Today, because the guys like me and your fathers, they now have expendable income ratios. And guess what they want? Chocolate for their kids. They never tasted it. Literally, 1.5 billion, 2 billion, 2.5 billion people have never tasted a piece of chocolate. We're going to deliver it. We're going to deliver it. And when we deliver it, we're going to deliver it and assist them through charity to build hospitals, roads, libraries, and the potential for technology to educate themselves in global terms. Thank you.
We got work. I don't shake your hand, I kiss you. We kiss.
Me too. I'd like to invite Dr. Pauline Crawford to deliver her keynote speech. Dr. Pauline Crawford has been working across the world for quite some time to develop harmony amongst men and women, but also just between cultures, across cultural friendships, and lived in Malaysia for many years. So, Dr. Pauline, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marty. I couldn't entirely hear the introduction, so I'm assuming that I'm on. I hope everybody can hear me tonight. I have the privilege of being here to talk to you about authentic harmony. Is that okay, Marty? We are on. And I wanted just to share with you how amazing it is that Marty has managed to gather you all together on this very auspicious day after a solar eclipse. I don't think he actually recognized that, but the world was plunged into darkness last night. And the impact on our world that I want to talk about is how do we actually create harmony together? I've got quite a bit of feedback loop, so I hope that you can hear me. Maybe you can just send me a message, Marty, that this is coming over clearly. My goal in life is to help women and men understand each other and actually understand how we can bring about a considerable change in the world by understanding what is going to be different when we actually understand each other. So we know that the world is full of uncertainty. We're in a very uncertain economy. We're in a pandemic. We're emotionally and politically sometimes getting a bit crazy. But one of the things we do see is that we see people getting into arguments and not really understanding each other. So one of my goals to you tonight is, and I know that you will all be having an amazing unifying conversation around the table, but to understand that when we have very polarized views, we get into discussions that are not useful. So one of the goals for me is that we need to understand about the power grid in the world. So I want to give you two metaphors to think about. One is that the fact that when we power up our electricity, everything works. We plug something in the wall, we expect it to work. We turn our key in the car and it works. There's a power. I want to introduce the idea of authentic harmony is powered by an authentic human power grid of loving intentions. Now, all of us are present tonight because we believe in this, but we know there are a lot of people in the world who are not aware of that. So what this solar eclipse was about was inviting us to have a golden intention for the world. So I want you to think about tonight in your after dinner conversations is, how can we create an authentic harmony that everybody can sing together, smile together, create a better world, a world worth living in? And for me, it's about creating, if you like, a groundswell of consensus, a symphony where we all know how we play our part. So I'd like you to imagine that you're part of an orchestra and that you all play your part. You know which instrument you play. You're all tuned in together. The conductor is creating that rhythm. Maybe Marty is our conductor tonight. But what is the song? What is the song and who is the audience? How do we get past this polarization in the world and some of the unfortunate differences that are still around for men and women? Now, as you probably know, women are very different to men. But I think before we get to that, I want to give you some very simple clues as to what I think we need to be able to do. Firstly, we need to smile more. We need to set an intention to connect to other human beings, not just because we're in the same room together, but when we're passing them on the street. helping our world to smile is a genuine gift to somebody else. The second thing is to be an observer of life and be very calm and objective, but also with loving intentions. When we come together, whether it's on a platform like Hub or on LinkedIn or different types of platform, we can still smile, we can still be genuine, we can still with loving intentions. So the next point I want to make is that we need to respond from our own experience and don't try to fix other people. Own who you are, what you say, what you do, whether you're a man or a woman, you're young or old, you're from different nations. Think about what you're saying and the impact it has on somebody else. Don't force your views on somebody else. Have some curiosity about other people. What makes them different to you? And be kind and caring, but not a walkover. And use a lot of common sense, not nonsense. And really respect differences to make the magic of what is coming together. I have a mantra for my work in education, which is to bring knowledge, experience, and imagination together. All of those things you all have. You're very knowledgeable people. You have a lot of wisdom. Marty's brought you together. So you're forming, if you like, an orchestra tonight. Who are the players? Who are the men? Who are the women? And my passion is for what I call magical conversations. So when you think about that orchestra piece for authentic harmony, can we actually get into conversations where we do have a degree of no judgment? So come from your experience, where we can have passion, but not anger, and where we can actually seed creativity together. And what I find in my work with the way people come together, it's so important that whatever medium we're in, you have the joy of sitting in this wonderful restaurant together tonight. I wish I was with you. But when we're online or we're on the telephone, whatever it is, think about all the different roles that we play. Are we a child? Are we a parent? Are we an employee or an employer? Are we a boss or a leader of a community? Whatever it is, be in that moment of conversation with people. I've designed a way of looking at life in a very simple way. It's about a circle of life. Everybody's on there. Everybody from every agenda, every culture, every LGBTQ, heterosexual, non-binary, everybody is inside that circle of life. And we have 4 very simple archetypes, which you can think about. 2 men and 2 women. The men are the ruler and the philosopher. The ruler is our directive, masculine male, and our philosopher, like Nelson Mandela, has this wonderful intuitive sense. And then the women are the magician and the sovereign. And the magician she's in her head a lot with logic and masculine energy. And the feminine is our beautiful sovereign and feminine female. All these characters come together. What I want you to think about is, where are all the good stories? Where are all the ones where authentic harmony, when those men and women come to the table and we make a difference? So that's the goal for tonight. Marty's brought you all together. You're having a wonderful time. I want you to think about how you play your part in the orchestra beat, how you create authentic harmony in your daily occurrences, your happenings, your meetings. And if anything gets a little bit sticky, is to think about, how do you make sure that the conversation ends up with, let's agree. I want to thank you, Marty, for inviting me to come here tonight. You are a magical man yourself. I think you have a very strong ethos about men and women understanding each other. And I applaud you, because women need more advocates like yourself to make sure that we have authentic harmony in our world. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Pauline. You were coming through loud and clear. And at this time, I would like to invite Lisa Ma from San Francisco. Lisa Ma is active every day with Hub. And if you don't know about Hub and the things that we're doing with Dr. Pauline and Lisa and Jason Preston and Tim Cooper and so many other people around the world, from Australia to Germany, stick by here for 1 second. And Lisa, we would like for you to let folks know what's going on.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Marty, for having me here. great to be part of this circle. So, at the start of the pandemic, started hosting a lot of virtual gatherings, and during that time, I realized that there are no borders. If you think about it, like the way we're having conversations right now, you can talk to anybody from around the world. There's really no borders, and at the end of the day, we are all different, but we are the same. So when we host gatherings, people really just want to connect authentically, and people want to hold space and want to be heard and to be seen and to be connected. So at Hub, we started hosting a lot of referral community events, and during those events, we discover basically that we're able to connect people from around the world, and that was how I initially collaborated with Marty. We had hosted women empowerment events as well as gatherings. And so really, the way I think about it is that we all have a mission here on Earth, and we all have superpowers. So if we come together and activate our piece of the puzzle of our superpowers, this is how we come together to be stronger together. And so that's my mission right now, is to connect us so that we can be stronger together. And we have a lot of amazing plans in the works right now with Marty and team. So we're excited to connect with everyone here in the coming year. So thank you, Marty, for having us here. I'm honored to be part of it.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa, so much.
Thank you.
You're doing so much. And my beautiful wife is on from Charlotte, North Carolina, the second largest banking capital in the world. I'm up here in Washington, D.C. And now at this time, I would like to ask Dr. Rodriguez to come up. Dr. Rodriguez, we're going to do the Ronald Reagan Medal. And Matt Parker. Matt is Army. And very lucky indeed to have Matt with us tonight. Matt, of course, is retired Army, like many of us, retired Navy, retired Army. So I'm actually outnumbered from retired tonight, but it's okay. We feel super lucky to have Matt with us because Matt has done so much in close-in protection security and as a security expert, saved the life of essentially the Iraqi president with the drone strike that would have occurred and taken him out. All because of Matt's work, all because of what Matt did for so long in the deserts. And when we found out that the country of Iraq was going to offer a medal, much like the Korean War medal and many other medals from countries like Kuwait, that their people have given us a medal, we were very honored, and I'm wearing that medal tonight, the Iraq Commitment Medal. And I would like to first go back in time to President Reagan. So Dr. Rodriguez, would you please at this time award Matt the Ronald Reagan Medal? I'm going to go back to the 80s for a second. When I asked Matt how he wanted to be listed, he said, you know what? I can just see Matt Parker, Army retired. How about that? Now I'm going to fast forward back to the Iraq Commitment Medal, okay? And I would like to actually read to you what this medal says on the front and back of it, because not a lot of people have ever seen this. Dr. Rodriguez, I'll take off the prism. This is two hands written in Arabic, two hands shaking together, okay? And it says, there is no one that can forget, and let nothing be forgotten, okay? And the backdrop on this medal, when you get a chance after we're done to go look at it on Matt's chest, or below, that's hero, take a look at it and ask them, hey, Matt, do you mind if we flip it over? Because Marty said the kids could look at the cross sabers, okay? And the joint commitment with the Iraq medal. So, Dr. Rodriguez, would you please do the honors? And then we're going to ask Matt to say a few words, which may or may not be tough. Also, you guys may know of our mission while Dr. Rodriguez is definitely fiddling with the medal over here.
Can I hold?
You may know one of our big missions for several years has been to try and get the Iraq commitment medal accepted by the Pentagon here. There is an instruction that says no service member can ever wear this medal until they are dropped off and delivered to the Pentagon. It's that way for everyone. Iraq. Okay. But when the Korean War Memorial was about to be dedicated in 10 months, okay, it was pretty interesting that the United States said, this is going to be embarrassing. It's been 49 years since this medal was given by the Korean people. We better get it approved really quick so that people can actually wear it. It's been 49 years now. People passed away and died. So we would like to stop that behavior, okay? And with the great help of Stephen Kennedy, the president of Kennedy Insignia Worldwide, who makes most of the medals for the United States military forces, he struck the die and picked up on this when we actually collapsed and failed as clowns, because we rolled out this whole program for the medal that he's going to be receiving. Actually, it was a Kickstarter when we rolled it out, okay? And the deal was with Kennedy Insignia, if you raise $60,000, we'll strike the die, we'll do the ribbon, we will do this in full production all across the world, 205 countries. And we coughed and choked and sputtered at about 38 grand. And so guess what happens when you do that with Kickstarter? They say, all money is refunded to all credit cards, which was about 20,000 credit cards, because there were people that were like, hey, I'll take one. Hey, my dad's already died, but I want to get one. I'm the surviving daughter. Okay, hey, I'm a grieving wife. I would like two. My husband's gone. Okay, so these were like little purchases. So, you ready? You're going to do the ribbon? Okay. So this is what happened, but it was really nice when Stephen Kennedy said, you know, you guys have impressed me so much with this Edward Mahoney, this major. I'm going to go on ahead and do this thing anyway. And I asked Stephen the other day in Rhode Island, where are you at? Because I'm a businessman. I'm a entrepreneur. That's what they call us. We have mompreneurs. I'm a entrepreneur. Did you like choke on it and you're still trying to make money? Or option B, Stephen, did you break even? Or option C, you're actually making money. He said, funny you should ask, Marty, because I wouldn't really divulge that information to anybody. But we have broken even funds now. We're getting orders on them from all over the globe every week. So without further ado, and I'll hold the box. The floor is yours.
Yes, Matt, let's hear it.
I am not much of a public speaker, and I can't follow Jeff. That was emotional, and that was forceful, and it came to your heart, and I understand where you're coming from. This is what I'll say about this one. First, I want to thank the Presidential Service Center for the honor. That's first and foremost. When you serve, you don't serve for recognition. You serve because of the calling, or for me anyway. So when I joined, it's because I was following my grandfather and my father. I've been followed by my son, who's now 12 years old. So it's a family business. I did some research on this when I was told I had been nominated. The Iraqi government wants to give this award to soldiers that served in Iraq with distinction and they served. It's another nation that has recognized our soldiers for their actions, which means quite a lot. Now, I understand my recognition because of my work with the Iraqi government and protecting certain people. And you mentioned recent events with the President of Iraq. I didn't save the President of Iraq's life. That wasn't me. I wasn't there. I didn't think to do with it. But years ago when I was there, that residence was one of the ones that we did an assessment on. We built the system for. And all these years later, I see on CNN there's been an attack on the president. And when they show the background, there's the compound I stood in with my team. And we said, put a wall there. And it was that wall and it was that system that probably saved his life. So it was my team that all these years later, I wish I could call every one of them and say, do you know what you did today? For thanks, again, the President of the Service Center, I have to thank you people for being here. There's a gentleman by the name of Major General Toludo, who's the commanding general for the 42nd Infantry Division. When I went to Iraq with his unit, I was an augmentee, their National Guard unit. I was loaned by the 10th Mountain Division. They said, you're shorthanded, take him. I thought it was a bit of an insult at the time. You were loaning me out to the Guard. I didn't know how to take that. And I found out that I had been vetted, I had been selected, and I was there for a reason. My job was to work with our Iraqi counterparts and share with them the knowledge that I had. We were going to train them, we were going to mentor them, and we did it in a totally different way. That the Army looked at what Major General Toludo did, and they made it a program. So I've got to thank the General because he said, let's put John Parker on the line, let him go live with the Iraqis and in bed with the Iraqis and do his thing. He trusted a lower enlisted, person to go out there and represent. Major General Jeffrey Smith, my last commander in 2009. General Smith said, I have a request from one of the deputy prime ministers, some ministers, and they would like you to work with their protection detail and train them, prepare them. And oh, by the way, we need you to build an academy. There's some Shia Sunni issues. We want you to move that over on the education side. And oh, by the way, there's a minister who will be watching you every day because his cousin is in charge of the detail. Take it and run with it. Thank you to the United States military, because they take somebody by their ability and put them in a place to succeed. They don't say, this rank has to do this job. They say, this person with this skill set. So Major General Smith put me in a position to succeed. I was having lunches and dinners with deputy prime ministers, and I was having meetings with generals, and I asked myself at the time, what am I doing here? But I remembered, if you take your shirt off, if you take your rank off, and you take the titles away, we're all just people. We're all pulling towards the same goal, which was to protect and support. As you said, Jack, to build relationships. And I think we did that. So from 2005 to 2009, in the country of Iraq, we did that. We built relationships and we protected people. In 2009, 2018, I was a special advisor to a lot of those organizations, a lot of those ministers, through email and phone calls. Again, what am I, just me doing, talking to some general through email and making recommendations of what he can do to improve the safety and security of the president, prime minister, whatever. So Major General Toludo, Major General Smith, wherever they are today, if it wasn't for them, I'm not here, because they trusted me in those roles. They said, we don't care about rank, we care about getting the job done. And I was told to go do it. Now the Presidential Service Center comes forward and says, by the way, we know some of the same people, and we've read your resume, and we know your history, and the Iraqi government wants to recognize you. This is more meaningful to me than a lot of the accolades or awards I've received in the past, because this came from a group of people who we, through our hard work, protected, saved, allowed them to continue to live and work without fear. They stabilized their government. They stabilized their people. They went to work every day. And regardless of your politics, or regardless of your religion, Sunni, Shia, they had a government because of the team we put forward to protect, to protect them. And I will always be grateful to my team. There's so many soldiers I'd like to thank, and I can't. But General Toledo and General Smith are the two big ones because they said, you're going to do this. If you need anything, call them. They backed me with their position and their reputation. So again, Presidential Service Center, thank you for everything. This is monumental for me. When I left Iraq and I stopped advising them in 2018, it's just been phone calls and the occasional email. How are you? Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. To have this come down now, it's not the ending. It's not the closing. But it does tell you that what you did it mattered to somebody. So if I don't get the opportunity, if you would extend to the Iraqi embassy and to those responsible, my personal thanks and salutations, obviously. And then to everyone assembled today, I've just met many of you today. I'm still going to meet others. I appreciate you sitting here while I ramble on about people you don't know. About a country you may have never visited, about a time that's gone by. But I thank you for this and for tonight, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Wow.
Sir, you called me sir, and I had to bite my lip because you're everything I ever looked up to. You're the embodiment of the grace of the integrity, universal. So many human beings. If you're supposed to give us one stage behind. Oh, let's bring the medals together.
You go down to the hospital, you go down to see the pen, I have two friends that you might want to meet.
Oh my God.
Congratulations.
Well,
I'm happy to say I once worked for the current Sergeant of the Army. Sergeant Richard is my senior boss. He's now whoever thought you're boss. Oh my God. Sergeant Richard is now the top of the field of the Army. He was one of my mentors for my boss. He's another one of those people who said, this might not be the right resume or the right training or the right, but he's the right guy.
right, he knows what he's doing.
And it kicked me in the ass to go make the step. So I'm so appreciative of the armed forces for what they gave us. Put flying through the air, hanging in the head.
Yeah, everybody does it. 27 stitches and 3 staples. That's all I want to do.
At the end of the month, you look at your pay stub, go, now.
Alrighty.
I'm already getting it. Doc, come on. Reassess the code.
All right. All right, without further ado, I would like to move things forward. And at this time, it is appropriate to announce I am no longer the CEO of the Presidential Service Center. So I have moved up to the chairperson of the Board of Trustees. I've gotten lots of messages like, what's going on? You're not the CEO. What's happening? I'm like, relax, everything's cool. Dr. Rodriguez joined Nicole Martinez as co-CEO. Join Nicole, if you've read any of her stuff from Forbes and the Forbes Council, or listen to her podcast. She is unbelievable. Okay. And I'm exceptionally proud of every opportunity that I get to talk about Dr. Joyce. I've got a small gift for Mike tonight. It's the quotations of Henry Ford. So you're going to enjoy this because he's a real good boy. Mike, congratulations. Mike would lay out his agenda of what he gets to think about every night for the next 4 years. Mike, I turn it over to you.
Sure. Well, Martin, thank you, because he's been an inspiration, especially, like Antoine says, over a decade. Well, it actually, for me, it goes back even further. When I would see Martin in the White House itself, but then when you see Martin at Camp David, you start telling yourself, Martin is everything. So, we made it past that. So what's the agenda now? What's next? Well, we know one thing, that the presidential service can get it done. That's no doubt. And the Presidential Service Center is time to make the next step. And the next step is understanding that in every state, there is 1,000 members of Presidential Service Badge members throughout that state. 1,000. And we have 50 states. That's not including Ohio. So we have a network that works because as we travel through the White House, we establish relationships with aides that now became ministers or generals. And being able to establish that network helps us turn into humanitarians, just like when the presidents that lead take on their own organization. So my hope is, or my goal is that we take the Presidential Service Center to the next level of humanity. That is the next globally, because we have those resources. And that's what's going on. So my hope is for the next 4 years that we establish ourselves not only as an organization, but as a cornerstone in history as we grow. So that the Presidential Service Center is never forgotten, because it's never supposed to be forgotten. That's why President Johnson signed the executive order. Because even though you retire, that badge is still active. And everybody keeps forgetting that, because when they find out it's still active, they say to themselves, oh my, I didn't know. And I say to you, but we've been there. So what does the Presidential Service Center offer? It provides services for anything that the President of the United States wants. And when he leaves office, we have the ability to follow him and provide him those resources through his foundation. That would be, as we know, President Carter, President Obama, and yes, President Clinton. So when you look at that, even though we're retired, it's a loose word. The badge is still active. So that's why these presidents, and sometimes overseas, because they remember the Presidential Service Badge holders, and you get a phone call. And all of a sudden, you find yourself engaged on a global platform, and you come home completing a task or a mission under presidential service, and nobody knows it. And isn't that great? Because that's what you do at the White House when you're in presidential service. We are never seen, but we're very effective. And that's what makes us an organization that's going to be intertwined into that fabric, the American flag. That's nothing else. There is no politics in the Presidential Service Center. There's just the badge. That's why we get it done. In the House and outside the House. So I look forward to the next 4 years, because we're going to have some fun. Because if we're not having fun, what's the point? And don't we love helping people? Hey, hey, hang in there. Great 4 years. Looking forward to it.
I would be remiss tonight if I did not mention our newest ambassador from Ghana, Confidence Adeje, and also Mr. Nixon Ekesa from Kenya was appointed a couple of months ago, and they have both been ratified by the World Council. Also, our other ambassadors are continuing to do a wonderful job. Mary De Diavito from Kenya, an attorney, and Pumsa Dayani, who we love, from South Africa, and Dr. Joseph Santappan from India, who got his degrees, his doctoral here, and is a minister, and then left the United States and went back to India. So every time I ask him, hey, do you miss turkey, man? Do you miss sweet potatoes? He's like, yes, I miss them, Martin. He knows exactly, because he lived here for like so long. But they have been doing wonderful. Also, I mentioned earlier, Captain John A. Davenport received the same trophy about 3 weeks ago in Florida at the Rotary event. He was in the 90 plus 90 awarding category. So Jack's got a couple of years to go before he qualifies for that. One other award that we had given out this year, Bruce Hoppo Hopkins, the famous lifeguard from Bondi Beach, received the Gold Presidential Distinguished Service Medal Award. That was just fantastic to award that to him. Miss Desiree Rose Parham, United States Air Force, had gotten one of the presidential coins. Jack Krashun got a presidential coin. Matt Parker got a presidential coin. Also, Andrew Farrar received the Iraq Medal from Tennessee. And then we had Travis McVeigh for the Ronald Reagan Medal in Tennessee, and Donald Dyer of Georgia. So I wanted to make sure we mentioned everybody. Last but not least was Miss Kim Alexander. My wife and I have been working with her for disadvantaged youth, teaching the baking class in Charlotte. It was amazing. She was almost crying that day. She got this award that we gave her, the Faith, Hope, and Love Award. She said, you know, Martin, I didn't think this kid was going to come today, but this is going to be for Patty. But the kid's nobody knows where this kid is. He's got his ankle bracelet on. Okay? But he came because you were here, Mark, to teach this class for disadvantaged youth. And when the class was done, he was gone because he had left his home and run away, but there were looking for him. Okay, but he learned how to make bread that day. So the next weekend, she called me and said, they all want to make bread again, Martin. So myself, our daughter, and Stormy, we were donating our time to that bread making class. We're going back on January 15th. And at this time, I would also like to bring up Patty Krugenberg of New York. Patty is representing many of the women, like my wife, who was live online, a Navy veteran.
Yeah.
Also, we have Grace here from New Jersey, a Navy veteran.
Yeah.
We have, of course, a female CEO, a brand new, Dr. Joy Nicole Martinez. That is her name. A lot of people ask me, like, they call her Joy. She'll correct you. My name is Joy Nicole. That is my full. So her name is, so you don't get it wrong when you're talking with her, okay? But we have, if you look at our board, since 1994, I have never understood this thing about minority inclusion and all this stuff about diversity. Since 1994, we have had over half women controlling this. You go on today, it's actually like about 60% women, okay? And as far as the black population in this country being 14%, I think the last time I checked, Orlando, we were at like 38% Black Americans, okay? So I don't get it, like when they say these things, you know,
For the next 10 years, we're going to launch a major initiative. By 2030, we'll have equal women.
dude, you said that like 15 years ago at IBM. I remember like 2000, I don't know, 2000. You said you were going to do that and you would have it done by 2010. Okay, it's like, okay, bro, it's 2021. Sorry, whatever. So, Patty, you embody a lot of people with your dreams, and I wanted to give you especially this Dr. Benjamin Franklin, It's the Art of Enduring Pleasantry. This is one of his most famous books. And Patty is taking over a brand new committee that is going to go live tonight. It's the Latin American Committee. I call you Patty Krugenberg.
I'm a little bit more prepared. Because you know what? If I did, you'll be here all night. So let me just cut it a little shorter today. So today is a great honor to be appointed chairperson for the Latin Americas. It really is a committee for the USPS I just love saying that because I'm so proud to be a member. And with my deepest gratitude, I want to thank, of course, the former now CEO, Martin Mondello. I got your name right this time. And as I call him Mike, but technically Dr. Miguel Rodriguez, and for nominating me, for it's a privilege and to serve, the opportunity to deliver. That's really important. And before getting any further, I'd like to share a quick story about my first engagement with Marty and Dr. Miguel. And my first engagement with Marty was on LinkedIn, and he actually left me a voicemail, okay? And I was just so excited because I was like, wow, like a voicemail. I never, let me just back it up for 1 second. I'm going to go a little improv right here. Before I started my mission with Mr. Graham, which is the proud sponsor to Marty's show, Goodbye, I Love, or, the USP, I call everything Marty, but anyway, the United States Presidential Services Center has a beautiful show called Goodbye, I Love You. And we'll get to my meeting with Dr. Mike there. But as a proud sponsor, before this mission, that I feel that I was just told by purpose, it became a purpose, but that's a whole nother story. Like I said, I'm going to stick to my words here. But where was I get? I was not tech savvy at all. I want to just I barely texted. Michael is my witness. My husband's sitting over there. Barely, I'm telling you, I barely texted. An email, forget about it. Not happening. So when I came to realize that I had a purpose to fulfill, and we all have maybe multiple purposes. I do believe that my first 30 years I was serving my purpose too, and I continue to do that too as a hairdresser. But nonetheless, God said, this is your mission, and that's this, and here we are. So getting back to Marty leaving me a voicemail, I was just like, wow, somebody could just like talk to me on a DM. This is so cool. So I thought that microphone was just like text to speech, which is available on. So soon after, it became my favorite teacher, as Marty knows, and I know maybe a few of you too. And then, okay, so flashing forward, literally speaking, being that my first co-hosting experience with Marty on the Goodbye, I Love You show was while paying tribute to his late friend Ryan. During a segment, there was a thunderstorm. Now I sound like you, with flashes of lightning that actually kicked us off the live stream, everybody, okay? I'm not kidding. We laughed, and then we got back on, and we both knew that Ryan's hand must have been in it, since he, after all, was known for his dramatic manners. Pun intended. He was an amazing actor, according to his fans. So a few months later, I had the honor to meet Dr. Miguel Rodriguez. Although bittersweet, yet under similar circumstances, it was also on the Goodbye, I Love You show, paying tribute to the late Cole Powell, General. I'm not sure how to address him. Excuse me.
Secretary.
Okay, Secretary of State. There you go. Excuse me. And with that, we became friends and alliances. It was just like, it was so bittersweet. We had a lot of moments. It was a beautiful thing, and I felt like I got to know him through you, and which again goes back to that whole show. It's a beautiful show, and again, so now being here is a true privilege to serve as a board member to the USPSC and the multifaceted committees. Being presented as a chairperson is now officially my duty. My due diligence to honor the voices of those that have not been heard in the Latin Americas and the Latin communities, starting here in our homeland. And as a chairperson, it is essential to respond accordingly to the priorities of humanity before race or region, where everyone moves, everyone finding a way to piece together the broken pieces, making a beautiful mosaic of a world of peace and one love. And it will be the infinite goals of this brand new committee. And I am proud to stand by everything we do. I would love to address the homeless and disabled veterans, which 80% are minorities. And it is our duty as Americans to serve those men and women who serve their country for our freedom. I am planning to take action on a global scale to raise awareness for partnering with organizations that aim at the same goals for humanitarian aid. Up to date, Latin Americas have come a long way yet continue to strive in areas of unemployment, healthcare, education, resources, and food and shelter. Sorry, I get a little passionate because it really, really is just like a thing, right? And that's what we all have in common here. And that's why I love the United States Presidential Services Center. And although the struggle has been since the beginning of time with perseverance and objective measures, we will continue to evolve for human rights, human resources, and justice for all. I am sure that we are going to change the world for the better year by year, and I am going to serve this committee as a purposeful mission with my sleeves up, my heart in, and at the end, and until the end, because there is always time to make a difference. I would like to end this with a quote by Cesar Chavez. We cannot seek achievement for ourselves and forget about progress and prosperity for our community. Our ambition must be broad enough to include the aspirations and needs of others for their sakes and for our own. Quote Cesar Chavez. And again, I'm going to give you a little quote for Mr. Graham that's, again, inspired by, it's parody of the Pledge of Allegiance. And I pledge allegiance to Mr. Graham of the United States of Motions and to the deceased for which it stands, one app on a world wide web with tributes and memories for all. God bless. Amen. I love everyone. Y para todos los latinos, yo hablo español en mi primer lengua, yo tuve que aprender inglés, yo no aprendí inglés en la escuela en primer grado, me dejaron atrás, fue muy difícil para mí, y te digo, yo sé, yo entiendo cómo es, y yo estoy ahí para ayudarte, por favor, decime cómo están las cosas, y yo te voy a ayudar a vos. Gracias.
Somebody said the other day, what was a white woman doing the Latin American? What? Inclusion. Spanish is the first language. You didn't know that.
I'm going to Honduras right away.
Thank you for calling. Thank you for calling.
The whole thing, just give it all to us. Hey, remember we're in Africa now. Exactly.
So I would like to wrap up tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming to support us. This has been the most awesome gathering we have had. 6 people at Yardbird a couple of months ago. We had another dinner here, just the executive committee, and we feel so fortunate that Carla is with Orlando and able to come for me. We love having kids here. We do not hide spouses in rooms and children in rooms. You may have seen that in our videos. We don't do that. We'll set up a little table, they have computers and laptops doing their schoolwork. And also, don't forget, I mentioned to Patty, one of our ethics things today was she was bringing me a bag from Walgreens, and I said, don't bring it to my room because that's one of our ethics videos. You are not allowed to go to anyone's room for any reason ever, even to a sport. Okay? That's one of our ethics things. I told her, I says, I'll meet you in the lobby or I'll meet you at the elevator, which is what I did. Okay? So I'm following by ethics video number 4.
4, that's right. I don't even know what number.
Yeah, number 4. Last thing is, I'm supposed to mention the SDGs. It is huge in the India group. It's ferocious, 20-30 interactions per day. Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. I have just become aware of what they are. And Dr. Rajput Sharma is leading all on that. So you should expect to hear and see more about sustainable development goals. Okay? And the final thing is G21. I'm supposed to mention G21 tonight. We're big advocates for bringing Africa, the Africa Union, G20. It would become the G21. Mike and I have been pushing that, even on Capitol Hill. You have, as a member of the G20, you have the European Union. You. So we are saying, like, look, India is going to become the new continent with the most population. It's going to eclipse China soon. But Africa is right behind it. Africa is going to eclipse, with 55 countries, is going to eclipse India in population, okay? Unbelievable. So we are advocates for saying we want the African Union to come into the G20 and the G21. And it's amazing. I called Mike the other day. I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but there's like all of a sudden, since we started talking about it and at the university and all on the net and putting this out there, there's all of a sudden at the White House. I don't think it's us, but
Really?
you know, I don't think we're that big, okay? But where we start to create seeds and traction, that's a big issue for us. And thank you guys so much for doing it. Big round of applause for everybody.